Welcome to the Planting Wildflowers podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Leonardis. I'm an entrepreneur, wife, mom, and stepmom. I'm super interested in people and perspectives, and I love how a good conversation can leave you feeling empowered. Sometimes even pique your curiosity to learn and grow. Mostly though, I love how really listening to one another opens up limitless opportunities for that beautiful sense of connection and community that we all love. Thanks for tuning in. Let's be inspired. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. This is Rebecca, and I am so excited today to bring to you a guest who has become one of my very favorite people, a dear friend, and absolutely a source of health information and wisdom on all things mind, body, and spirit. I'm proud today to share with you my dear friend, Shelly Ruzgys. I'm going to talk a lot about how awesome she is, you guys, but I think before I do that, I'm going to let her say hello, tell us who she is, what she's all about, and maybe tell us a little bit about her own personal health journey, because it's really what has led her to where she is today. Hi, Shelly.
Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
So good. Thanks for hanging out with
me. I am so flattered with that introduction. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You are very dear to me as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we've learned a lot about each other in the short time that we've been friends. It's been just over a year, and we've already put a lifetime of wisdom and fun and information together.
I know. It's been one of the best things that have happened. I'm so grateful for it, and I can't wait to see what else we do.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the universe brought us together for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a bit about you, because I mean, you have a really interesting personal health story, and it certainly led you to where you are today. Why don't we kick things off for our listeners by giving them a glimpse into where you've been?
Sure. So I was one of those kids who was always sick right from the get-go. Measles at 3 months old, in oxygen tank, on antibiotics most of my life. If there was a virus out there that you could only get once, I got it twice. I was just one of those kids. And I think the fact that I was on antibiotics pretty much all the time led me to a lot of fungus and yeast and issues with my organs. And that back in those days didn't get diagnosed. It got left to go, and then it gets into your gut. They didn't know about probiotics and about how that damages your biome and all those things that it does. I mean, I had mono twice, and the second time they refused to test me for over a year because they said you couldn't get it twice. And by the time they tested me, I was in organ failure. They wanted me to go for surgery, exploratory surgery, to see why my organs were so distended and so in such a mess. And the surgeon is the one that tested me for mono. And that took me 3 years to get over.
And how old were you when that happened, Shelly?
I was like 13 years old. I had it in grade 3. I was like 13 years old. So my first 2 years of high school, I missed the last semester of grade 9, the first semester of grade 10, because I literally couldn't get out of bed. It was not fun. It was hard to get through that. And that whole Epstein bar leads you into chronic fatigue. It leads you into many other things that for the rest of your life, you're just dragging yourself around. And it's hard. So then they try to put you on antidepressants because you're tired. Well, that's not good. And then fast forward to in my 20s to a car accident that left me with severe soft tissue damage and a badly damaged spinal cord. So again, more antidepressants, more painkillers, it's a vicious cycle. So your body starts to break down. You just can't get out of it. And I, over the course of time, just couldn't do it anymore. So I started looking at natural solutions. And I would get into the natural stuff and I would start to feel a little better, see a little light at the end of the rainbow. And they'd send me to a specialist who would say no.
Like they didn't agree with the natural options?
No, because they had no idea what they were. And it was like, if you want to do that, we won't treat you. So you were yo-yoing all the time. And I was feeling lost to the point where life, it was difficult. It was very difficult. And I had 2 young children, and I couldn't spend the rest of my life feeling sick every single day, struggling to get up, trying to pretend to be normal. So I had to go back to what my instincts were telling me. I had to start learning. I had to start studying. I started researching things, and I went back to the natural route. And now naturopathic doctors are a lot easier to come by than they were back in those, I say those days because I'm in my late 50s. So earlier, they weren't actually heard of back then.
Right.
So I just started trying to figure out how to heal my body. And I used essential oils and started going to naturopathic doctors and getting on supplements, studying everything I could, becoming certified in natural products. Then I started working in the industry, and now I own my own store. Mm-hmm. And I love it. I love being able to help people. I love being able to say I'm healing. I have expanded my horizons to know that I have to incorporate mind, body, and spirit. What we put into our body creates so much of what comes out energy-wise in our body. And it's life-changing, actually, to have the freedom to make some of those choices and not to be full of chemicals.
Right.
It's so different.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I know several people who did not take the natural route in many of those situations. And, years later, they're still dealing with the side effects, terrible symptoms that are completely, rooted in the medications that they felt forced to take, and not even a consideration given to the natural side. So you're like a wellness warrior, because, when something isn't accepted or approved of, it is very easy, especially when you're suffering from the symptoms that you were, ones like depression and fatigue. It would have been so easy to throw your hands up in the air and say, you're right, you win, do whatever, I just need to feel better. And yet you took the opposite approach and thought, I give up, I want to feel better, I'm going the natural route because I want to get to the core of these issues.
Well, for so many years of my life, up to, at least the first 30, I did what I was told. And it just repeated, it just created secondary and third and fourth types of conditions because of all the toxicity and because of the way the pharmaceuticals are created to treat you symptomatically and not systematically. Right? So they eventually start to break down other parts of your body and create great repeat customers for the pharmaceutical company, but long-term debilitating issues for the person.
Yeah, that's
I had to pick myself up off the floor every day. Like I'd put my children to get them off to school, curl up in a ball on the floor and not move until it was time for them to come home.
Oh, just the thought, the image of that breaks my heart. And I know that you telling this story is landing with someone right now because they feel like they've exhausted all of their options. They feel like every time they turn around, they're getting a new and unique piece of advice that doesn't match what the original person told them. So what you're describing is complete sovereign decision making. What you're demonstrating, or what you have demonstrated, is a complete sense of personal empowerment, and that's really what it takes these days to get back into a state of wellness, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So Shelly,
It does.
your story just always, it lingers with me, and I've known it for some time, and it just always lingers with me and inspires me to, always look for another option or question what I'm being told. I'm so grateful to you for pushing past that discomfort, because certainly I know that it existed there. So you mentioned that it led you to this place where you are now certified in about 1 billion different things. I've heard you, I've seen you educate and interact with numerous people on numerous topics. And now you are the owner and operator at Fine Herbs in Windsor, Ontario, a place where people can go. It is a health food store, yes, but it's so much more than that. Your unique offering is something that really sets you apart from what other health food stores can offer because of you, because of your background and the unique offering that you present. I wonder if you can tell us just a little bit about the products you choose, certainly the services that you offer, because that does not match up with other health food stores. You are head and shoulders above what other people are offering to the community. And you're even offering online events so that the virtual experience is there for people who have a difficult time accessing you, physically, but need that information and need that sense of community. Tell us a little bit about why you've put this style of package together for your community, because it's amazing.
I feel like we have to treat all of us, mind, body, spirit. And I feel that there's no one size fits all. We're all made up genetically different. We're all made up emotionally different. Yet at the core, we all need the same things, right? We need the nurturing, we need the love, we need the nutrition. So with my store, I only carry companies that are non-GMO, that are above board, that have extremely talented doctors on their team and education to back up their products. And I wouldn't have a problem taking any one of them. And then I also do things like we have, the spiritual side. We have crystals, we have essential oils, we have an osteopath, a myomassage therapist, Reiki practitioner, all the energy work. I have this amazing iridologist on staff who has 35 years of training behind her and a wealth of knowledge. She's also an herbalist, and she herself has stacks and stacks of certifications. She can look into your eye and tell you what's going on in the body. She doesn't diagnose disease, but she can see inflammation. She can see pain. She can see some of the root causes of what the doctors are telling you they don't understand. Mm-hmm. And she knows every possible herb that goes with that. And it's phenomenal. I just love the way that there's something for everybody. Even if it's just a healthy snack, there's something in that store for everybody.
That is the truth. And I mean, your physical space is small, but you are loaded with the best of the best. Mm-hmm. We'll make sure that people know how to find you at the end of our conversation too, because I know that's going to be one of the number one questions I get is how do we find this great space? Because we're all looking for something special and unique like that. So you put this together. It's for the community. It means something to you. It is derived from your personal journey. I'm so curious because you hear a lot of people's stories. What, in your opinion, and I won't hold you to this, what is our top health priority right now? As a global community.
As a global community, it's malnutrition in the basic ways. Well, it's malnutrition in the sense that our bodies have been so compromised by the toxins around us that our immunity is broken down, and our ability to assimilate and process and intake nutrients is compromised. So you can be eating the healthiest diet and not absorbing any of it and not understanding why, or you could be eating the worst garbage out there and getting inflammation, getting mucus buildup, getting headaches, getting all kinds of things, and not understand why. But it is kind of, I almost want to say environmental, because we've been taught to do the convenience in many ways. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people out there that don't educate you on how to actually take care of your immune system first, and how to eat properly, as far as reading labels, knowing what you're putting in your body, and knowing that our planet has been compromised in many ways as far as the nutrition that our food is grown, like the material that our food is grown in, how it's compromised, how the minerals have been taken out of the earth, how there's so many pollution triggers, even just in cosmetics, in cars, in the city, in every aspect, air fresheners, things that we use every day. We are just loading them onto our bodies. And when you load them up with all of these things and you put good nutrition in there, your body doesn't know which to put in first. If you have an overload of toxins, that's what your body's busy working on. It's not absorbing the nutrients.
That's a good point, because there are a lot of people out there that think that they check all the boxes for living a healthy lifestyle because they eat well. They've prioritized food, and that is great. It's great. But your body is so burdened with the toxins like you're describing, and they come from all kinds of places, right? Anything you come into contact with, basically. The
chemicals you clean your house with, air fresheners, deodorant, makeup, shampoo, just walking out the door.
So okay. So malnutrition, and that I mean, you've illustrated perfectly what you mean by that. Now, so how would we then take that issue and turn the ship around? What needs to happen as a global community for us to, get on the right path again?
So we have to make ourselves very aware of what we're putting on our bodies, what we're putting in our bodies. If you can get organic, I know it's harder and sometimes more expensive, but always choose organic where it's affordable and where you can. Mm-hmm. If you can't, make sure that you're using non-toxic products to clean your vegetables and things with, like baking soda and vinegar. Rinse as much of that off of your food as you can. Make sure you're putting minerals in your body that would normally be in your soil that aren't in there anymore, so that your body can assimilate things you're putting in there. So your magnesiums, your zinc, your copper, and everybody's different. So I say copper, but you have to watch that too, because you have to, that depends on whether you're on birth control, or there's a whole other issue with that. So, but trace minerals are extremely important, and they're lacking. So that's something you have to look at. Vitamins are important because they're a safety net. We're not eating complete diets. Read the labels on your cosmetics. Do clean products. Essential oils, wherever you can. That they're so detoxing, they're so purifying, and they're so healthy for the skin and the body. There's deodorant. Oh my gosh, that's one of the worst. Toothpaste. Fluoride. Mm-hmm. Get the fluoride out of your water. Get it out of your toothpaste. So much thyroid disease, which is rampant, is caused by fluoride.
It's amazing how many little nuggets of information that you can uncover, even in a conversation like we're having, and quickly identify, some of the easy shifts that you can make even in your own home. Because it can feel overwhelming, everyone wants to live a healthier lifestyle, but it can sometimes feel a bit scary, because it's like, oh, well, I'm 30 or 40 or 50 years old. I've been doing it this way for so long, and I've been fine up until now. I'm just going to, maintain this lifestyle, when really we could make some really subtle shifts, like changing out your deodorant, for example, or soaking your food if you're not eating organic, or even if you are eating organic, so making sure your food is clean before you consume it. I mean,
Yeah,
these are little shifts that not only change our health and wellness, but have a profound effect on the generation following our lead.
absolutely. And probiotics, we have to get probiotics in our body. Our microbiome is the key to how our body regulates itself. And we destroy it every day. We live in a high stress, high achievers mentality. We don't sleep properly. We consume too much caffeine or pop or, any of those things. It throws your microbiome off every single day. 70% of your serotonin is made in your gut. It protects, it's like a second brain. It protects you in ways that you don't even understand, because everything that goes in your body goes to your gut first. If your gut isn't working and it's not absorbing or processing or sending things where they're meant to be, then the signals aren't reaching your brain. So your brain isn't getting the right signal. Your body isn't doing what it needs to do.
Shelly, I love that you brought that up, because that's something that I think people don't know. They don't realize. We think of, feeling good and feeling happy, and we've all heard of serotonin, the happy hormone, but we don't realize that it is being produced almost exclusively in the gut. So this microbiome that you're speaking about, and this opportunity to introduce probiotics and nurture the space where all of this activity is happening, it's critical, not only to our gut health, but our brain health. Like you said, the message is being received all over the body. There's fascinating connections when you choose to see them.
Same with inflammation, arthritis, all kinds of aches and pains. It can be directly related to those bacteria levels in your body. Good bacteria, bad bacteria, how your stomach is, the lining is, whether it's nice and tight or if it's loose and particles are getting through, which are triggering autoimmune responses in the body where it attacks itself. It runs deep, and it's very important.
Now, while we're on this topic, I want to ask you about our current health situation in just a moment. But while we're on this topic of gut health and nurturing the microbiome, I have someone who I follow closely here, and I think you do too. I want to share it with the audience, because this man, this doctor, this triple board certified doctor, speaks like always on the microbiome. This is Dr. Zach Bush, and if you like, he is a phenom. This man has guided me to so much new information. He's peeled the layers back on so many things. So to follow up on your comment on gut health, I think if someone was looking for additional resources on, how you learn more or get inspired to be curious about this topic, go check out Dr. Zach Bush. Like
he's amazing.
He is amazing. And
we're all created of bacteria. We have good bacteria, bad bacteria. If you let the bad bacteria overrun, then it's going to create dysbiosis in the body, which will create inflammation, which will then lead to long-term disease and illness. So it's all about the good bacteria, and you need it everywhere, in every part of your body. It's not just something that you say, oh, once a week or once a month or every now and then I just pop a probiotic. It doesn't work like that.
Yes. Yeah. Good point. So would you then say, your professional opinion, if someone were to want to make a shift in their life tomorrow, does it start in the gut? Does it start with the probiotic?
Absolutely. That, to me, it's one of the first steps in just about everything.
Okay. That's doable for everyone. I mean, we all have access. I mean, if you're close to Fine Herbs in Windsor, Ontario, check them out. Get a good probiotic.
Get a good probiotic. And it's not one size fits all, because everybody has different levels of inflammation. They have certain allergies. They have all. Come and discuss it. Get the right one that fits for you. Many of us carry around things like H. pylori. It's 70%, 75% of us have H. pylori and don't even realize it's highly contagious. If one person in the family has H. pylori, chances are the whole family has it. And that's one of the things that underlies in your gut that destroys everything over time. So, you
Someone
just
know.
have a good discussion and get the right fit for you.
Yeah, I love that information is available through you. I'm excited for people to reach out to you and find out a little bit more. And H. pylori, how would someone find out if that was present in their body?
So typically you do a test through the doctor where you have to book it. You breathe into a little mylar balloon. They give you a little radioactive pill and you breathe into this mylar balloon and they register it. The problem with that is it's very inaccurate. You can do it by blood test, and if it does show up in your blood test, then you've got a pretty darn good case of it. The best way to find it is in a stool test, because even after they treat you with antibiotics for this H. pylori and they retest you, you often test negative because they've killed it right in that respiratory tract or in that gut, but they haven't actually killed it in your blood or in your stool. I know for me personally, I had one that I'd had for over 20 years, and they found that through stool samples, saying it was very old, it had been there, and it had caused a lot of damage. And that goes back to many years of antibiotics and all kinds of other things, right? I'd had gallbladder surgery, stomach surgery, and it was never caught.
Wow. Thank goodness you had the wherewithal to investigate further and,
That's my naturopath. Thank God for her. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. I'm so glad that happened for you in that way. That sort of brings me to current day. I mean, I love your feedback on where we're at as a global community in terms of health priorities. Right now, we're faced with something as a community that we've never had to look at before. We've never been in a pandemic situation. Health has never been at the forefront in this way before. And I would love to get your perspective on things, and you can take this in whatever direction you wish. But I always love asking people, what's your thoughts, your perspective on things like wearing masks, physical distancing, maybe even if you want to go down the rabbit hole of vaccines, all of these things, COVID-19 basically in general. Give me some idea as to where you're at with this, because you stayed open through the whole thing. So you're very present in the rawest moments for so many people. So I'm sure your insight is very unique and very profound.
I don't know if it's so unique or profound, but I try to look at it from all angles. Do we have a virus? Absolutely, we have a virus. Is it a pandemic? I wouldn't say it's a pandemic. I'd say there's a whole other agenda behind that, but we won't get into that. But is there a virus? Yes. Can we protect ourselves against it? Absolutely, we can. The wearing of the masks, I'm not so sure that they're that effective, because to be honest with you, when you're wearing a mask all day, you are breathing in, I know people will argue this left and right, but most people who in the healthcare profession would wear a mask in a day-to-day life before COVID would only wear it for 20, 30 minutes max, take it off and throw it out. They didn't have cloth versions. They didn't have all different kinds of versions to pick from. It was one standard surgical mask. And it wasn't meant for long-term use. Well, we're still using those same masks. The virus particle itself is way smaller than the fibers in cloth and the fibers in the disposable masks. So while it may prevent you from, say, coughing on somebody and getting in their face, it's actually not going to prevent you from breathing in that virus. If that virus wants to get in there, it's getting in there. And we're still showing people who are testing and we're wearing masks and they're testing positive. So the efficacy of the masks, the jury's out on that. I'm not 100% behind all of that. The other aspect of that is that you live in fear every time you have to leave the house and throw on that mask. You're afraid, I don't have my mask on, I'm going to get sick. Or you're afraid to put your mask on because you have an underlying health condition, but you don't want to get ridiculed by people.
Right.
There's a whole other aspect to it. If you feel safe wearing a mask, and that is what makes you comfortable, then by all means you should do that. I'm not going to tell you don't wear a mask. Maybe spray your mask with a little colloidal silver before you put it on. Change it out very often. Don't let it get wet. Make sure if you're wearing a fabric one, you're washing it every single day. When you get home at the end of the day, rinse out your nose. That's the first place you're breathing it in, right? So you rinse out your nose with a spray like colloidal silver or X-Clear, which is saline with xylitol.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Wash whatever you've been breathing up out of your nose down into your digestive tract. Lowers your risk of contracting that COVID by a drastically huge amount.
That's an amazing tip, actually. The mucous membranes, which are accessible through the nose, like you just said, we're breathing things in. This is the first part of digesting anything that comes into the body. So what you're recommending is phenomenal and such a proactive way to take care of yourself, and so stinking simple.
It's so easy.
It's so easy. I know you had recommended the xylitol. What else is in it? The xylitol.
It's saline and xylitol. It's the X-Clear. And it's phenomenal. There are 2 studies, one from Switzerland and one from Quebec, stating that use of that every single day reduces your risk of COVID by 99%.
Oh my, see, this is the kind of stuff. This is a gold nugget right in the middle. I mean, you've given us lots of them, but like, this is powerful stuff. Or like you just said, spraying your mask with some colloidal silver. These are simple steps. I mean,
well, because we're getting respiratory infections from wearing them. The bacterial pneumonia is on the rise, right? So you have to make sure that you're getting your vitamin D, you're spraying your mask, you're getting vitamin A, you're taking care of that, because we're trying to solve one problem, but we're creating other problems. So you have to look at the whole picture of everything.
Yeah. And you know, you just lead me right into this. I want to touch in a moment on how this whole experience has impacted our mental wellness. But before we do that, let me ask you, if someone comes in to see you, they're what you would consider a healthy person, and they say to you, Shelly, I'm really keen on keeping myself well through, you know, late fall and into winter, and, you know, what can I do to proactively manage my day-to-day lifestyle?
So there are your basics, your vitamin C, which you want to make sure that you're getting a minimum of 2,000 units a day, split doses, because vitamin C we do not make, we do not store, and we urinate it out within 4 hours of putting it in our body, unless it's an ester C or a liposomal C. Those ones will stay in the bloodstream for 24 hours. Okay. Sorry. Vitamin D helps you with your depression, helps you with assimilating nutrients. It helps you to, it's like a sunshine vitamin. So it's amazing for the body. It's a huge defense in so many ways. Zinc stands at your cell doors like a soldier, kind of they're at attention. So when invaders come along to the cell, it says, no, you're not allowed in here. And mixed with things like vitamin C takes it and kicks it out. So they work well together.
I love that image.
So those are the things that are really important. And liver support, like selenium or glutathione, which are precursors. Selenium's a precursor. N-acetylcysteine and selenium are precursors to glutathione. So all 3 of those things are very important, because it ties into the toxins we were talking about earlier. If we're not getting rid of those toxins, our body is too busy processing those to fight what's coming at us virally. So you got to help that liver clean that out and move it so that everything can be processed properly. Okay.
And these are simple recommendations. Again, very accessible, affordable, simple to use. So you're saying vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, selenium, basically something that is glutathione stimulating to support the liver.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Yep. I think these are recommendations that people can easily assimilate into their life and stay well.
Absolutely. And then if you are more at higher, like a higher risk, say you have asthma or your chronic bronchitis and things like that, then you want to add things like quercetin with your vitamin C, because they really build each other up. They're like, muscle building buddies. They pump each other up and they work really well together. And they help clear that bronchial path. Or serapeptase, which takes that fiber and that mucus that builds up around there and makes everything sticky. You want to move all that stuff out. So there's options depending on how your body is processing things and how your immune system is now. If you are elderly and you're more at risk to certain things, there's things like Deep Immune, which are immune building supplements that just help keep your immune system in its best top fighting order all the time. So it doesn't get taxed and it doesn't get tired and it doesn't get sick.
Okay. Yeah, these are great tips. Thank you so much. I know I've written these down. I've received this guidance from you before, so I have the luxury of hearing it for a second time. But for our listeners, this is a big deal to know these kinds of things. It's like all of a sudden knowing what the solution is to staying well during the trickiest time of the year, really.
Yeah.
Or supporting someone in their family in the same way.
Absolutely, because we have this crazy COVID going on, but we're also in that transitional time from summer, fall into winter, where the flu hits and colds hit and bronchitis and actual things that we're used to being dealt with every year. Right. So we still have to be vigilant about those, because you don't want to leave yourself that much more vulnerable to the other.
Yeah, that's a fact right there for sure. And then it's just been compounded really with COVID. Mm-hmm. All right. That takes me, the very next thing, you and I always talk about this. You can't separate physical wellness from mental wellness or spiritual wellness.
Right.
So as this, you can speak to COVID specifically because it's what we're immersed in right now, but what has this done, if anything, to our overall mental wellness?
It has done significant damage. Everything that you do now is eat, sleep, and breathe COVID. You can't escape it. It's on your phone. It's on your YouTube. It's on every app that you open. It's off the top of it. It's on your news stations. It's on the radio. Every day I drive to work, I hear it at least 3 times. Something about social distancing, wearing a mask, COVID. So we are being mentally trained to think nothing but COVID. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. So that lowers our ability to think more positive things because we're in a fear state.
Yeah.
And that actually lowers your immune system, and that makes you more susceptible because your cortisol levels are higher. So you put yourself more at risk. People want to hide away. They don't want to go to the stores. They don't want to be exposed to people, so they stay home. Well, they don't get enough sunshine. They don't get around people that they want to be around. It plays an emotional toll. It plays a physical toll because you're sad and you're depressed, so you'd rather eat this chocolate cookie than make yourself a healthy salad. It's a vicious circle. It really is. And it's hard to go anywhere because of all the restrictions. You can't really reach out and go, I'm going to go hang out at a group where I can talk about my feelings. Mm-hmm. Or I'm going to go to the doctor's office and ask for help, because a lot of doctors aren't even seeing people. They're not even physically looking at you. They're just talking to you over the phone and prescribing things. So it leaves you kind of to do things on your own in many ways. And some people struggle with that. So difficult for them to think, I have 10 things I have to do, and the first one I can't even reach. So how am I going to get to number 10?
Yeah, it's debilitating for a lot of people. I mean, it's creating such an introverted mentality for people who maybe once before wouldn't consider themselves that way, but it's certainly, it's shifting all of our mindsets. We have to be very vigilant in our mental health. And I wonder, you spoke to this health routine. as it, and often we're thinking about how it relates to physical health, but everything that you described has a mental effect as well.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore
Yep.
conquers that mental wellness piece, like you mentioned, vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin.
Yeah.
Would
B
you
complex
recommend?
is also very good for mental health because
Okay.
it soothes the nerve endings and the sheath, and it helps neurotransmitters to work better. So if you're not getting the stimulation you need and the transmitters aren't connecting to each other, that vitamin B helps that connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really important one. Magnesium is so important for every single cellular function in your body, including those neurotransmitting aspects that I talked about. Every cell in your body needs to bond with a form of magnesium, and there's tons of different forms of them, in order for it to set off the right signal to work in your body properly.
So do you recommend then, Shelly, that people not just go out and, pick a bottle of magnesium off the counter, but make a point of chatting with someone like yourself, visiting fine herbs, talking to people, doing some research on the quality and the dosage, like all of the different information about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that one is something that some people need more than one type. I personally need to take more than one type of magnesium a day. And some people only need a little bit. Some people need a lot.
Okay. Along the same train, as we stick with mental wellness just for a moment, outside of products, if you were giving someone your best advice on how to take care of their mental wellness, what would be a couple of tools that you could recommend for that?
So one of the best things is to uplift your spirits. And it can be in something simple like make yourself a playlist of your favorite songs from the past that bring a smile to your face. Mm-hmm. It could be something that I do in the morning, which is I turn off that radio on my way to work and I sit in gratitude on that drive. Mm. I thank the universe, God, whoever you want to thank, for the things that you're going forward to into the day and the things that you've experienced the day before. And on the way home, I always say thank you for how it's turned out.
Oh, I love that. Gratitude is everything. It helps you reflect on all of those things that are seemingly minor, but build up over the course of the day and weeks and months.
Yeah. And when you're living in the moment, it might not seem like it was a very good experience. You might have been tense, you might have been stressed, but when you reflect on it later, you think, oh, okay, this solution came out of that, or there's a silver lining somewhere, or I could have handled that differently. And then you change your mindset, mm-hmm. which is altering how your brain and your serotonin work together. And it's great. It's very, very simple. You don't have to sit for hours in meditation or anything like that. It's a mindset of 10 minutes a couple times a day.
Right.
You can do things. There's a Tao forgiveness prayer that my friend Helen has gotten me doing. She's got me doing it 3 times a day now. And it makes a big difference because you forgive yourself and you forgive your ancestors and you forgive anyone that has wronged you or you have wronged anyone. And it lifts the burden. And it's very uplifting in the sense that it's very soul lightening.
Mm. I picture carrying a whole bunch of luggage when you say that. And as you say the prayer, you're literally having the ability of unloading the baggage all around you. So you lighten your load, literally.
Yeah, because we carry things from our ancestors in our DNA. We didn't ask for it, but it's there. It's DNA. It's the way we're designed. And you don't know what it is that is possibly weighing you down until you start looking at how to let it go and forgive it.
That's an important thing to consider. I don't think that many people, not anyone in my life anyways, really stops to give that any level of consideration, but it plays a huge role in how you progress in your own life, because we are evolved from our ancestors, and naturally we're carrying, many of their burdens into our own lives. I love that advice. And it's wonderful. And that's a tool that is accessible to all of us. It's free,
Yes.
it's always with us wherever we go.
And there are lots of sites on the internet where you can find those types of things. Dr. Shaw, I guess is how you pronounce it, but it's SHO. He's the Tao doctor that does the forgiveness prayer.
Okay.
He's very, very good. His book is called Tao 1. So TAO and then the number 1. But to be honest with you, a lot of us, when we're in that state of depression and overwhelmed, thinking of that is too much work. I don't want to go look. I don't want to read a book. Right? So that's where I go back to pick your favorite song, put it on, dance around the house, just move a little, just shake your body. Envision all of the stress or whatever is irritating you, shaking it out. I used to make my daughter do this when she was little. I used to make her shake it out and then physically open the door and push it outside.
Oh, that's great. Gives you something tangible.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a small thing, but it helps. It really does.
I love that. I think that's great advice. I think that's something that if people are listening, I mean, you can do that today. There's certainly something we can all shake out today.
Absolutely. Do a 10-minute stretch, just so that your blood vessels wake up and your muscles and your nerves come to life. You don't have to be a yoga master. You can just bend over and touch your toes, reach for the sky. It's just moving. It's putting some flow in your body.
I love that. That's great advice. Thank you. Who do you trust right now, Shelly? Like, where do you get your information from? Who are you mentioned it's important to tune the news out because of its negative, sort of fear-based messaging. But do you have mentors or guides or sources that you rely on as trustworthy? Because I think that's what we all crave right now.
I am learning actually that my biggest mentor is the universe. It is my deep intuition and my connection to myself with what ignites a spark in me. I'll read an article and I'll think, nope, this isn't going to sit well with me. And it's making me agitated. And I read another article and I want to keep diving into it and I want to dissolve it into all different types of pieces and just figure out how it corresponds with my life and what I can do to make things better and what I can take from it. I follow a lot of the different doctors with the companies that I have in the store. They all have these amazing doctors and webinars. And so I immerse myself in as much positive information as I possibly can. So I feel armed and I feel like I'm not afraid to go out of the house. And I feel like I got this. If something was to come my way, I've got this. I can handle this. I've been recently working with some of the practitioners in my store. We've started a Power of 8 group, which is based on the book by Lynn McTaggart, Power of 8. So we focus every week on a different issue that we take 10 minutes a day and we pray on it. As a group, we empower each other. We feel that energy and we make shifts and it makes a big difference.
That's wonderful.
So it's just, you have to learn more to fill your life with more joy and lighten the load and to trust yourself. There's a lot of knowledge out there. There's a lot of rabbit holes. I've gone down in the last 7 months, so many deep, dark, ugly rabbit holes. And I'm awoke, so to speak, that trendy word, woke, to what is going on out there, but I am not going to let it consume me because then I become a part of it.
So good to be mindful around that.
Yes. Yeah. You can't let it destroy your life and take over everything because it wins. There's so much to be thankful for. There's still so much out there to do, and to have a healthy mind and spirit and a healthy body and to be able to go out and do that is so important.
I love that you just said that. I'm going to bring us to a close here in just a moment, but my closing question to you was actually, is there hope for us to move in a new direction? And you've confirmed that, spiritually, yes. The answer is yes, we can go in a new direction.
We absolutely can. And educated and armed with the truth, we can make changes. As long as we still have choices available to us, no matter what side of any argument you sit on, you should still be allowed choices. So as long as we are still allowed those choices, we have opportunity.
My hands are way up in the air for that. That's awesome. So we arm ourselves with education, and that ultimately leads to the hope that we're all, eager to, the hope that we'll have better physical health, the hope that we'll have better mental and emotional health. And, the higher hope that our community on a global level is healed, in our lifetime. It would be wonderful to witness that healing.
Absolutely. And arm yourself with information from all sides, not just one source or two sources that are of a certain mentality, because you have to find what resonates and wakes up something inside your core.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you have to be able to communicate with other people. I think that's where this division often happens, is if we just recognize that we're not all of the same opinion on everything, masks to COVID to vaccines, whatever the case may be, even natural health. We know that there's a division there, and it's okay. But
and that's, it's definitely okay. But the idea is to be open to discussion, because the minute you close off someone else's opinion and someone else's research is the minute you stop learning and evolving.
True. Absolutely true. That's big. If people are listening and they take away one thing, I think that's probably the biggest thing of all. You stop evolving when you turn your mind off.
Yeah, absolutely. Doors close, things just get darker and gloomier. It's not a good place to live.
No, absolutely true. Shelly, this has been, for me personally, has been a thrill. And I know that the listeners, having heard your personal journey, your recommendations for daily improvement on physical, mental, and emotional well-being, your thoughts on where we're at in the world of health, both in our individual communities and on a global scale. It's great to hear from empowered women like yourself, women who have gone the extra mile to arm themselves with the information, because now you're the one that gets to spread hope that things are able to change, and things are changing, and we know that. And I thank you for that. Very, very
thank you. It's like planting wildflowers, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is. It is planting wildflowers. I want to make sure everyone knows how to stay in touch with you, whether it's social or, walking into your beautiful store and getting a chance to experience you in real life. How do we stay in touch with you, Shelly?
So Fine Herbs is located in Windsor, Ontario at 2605 Howard Avenue. I am still a work in progress as far as websites and things like that go, but I can be reached by phone at 519-250-2117, but at email with FHERBSINC, so FHerbs Inc. at gmail.com. And we do have a Facebook page, Fine Herbs and Holistic Wellness.
That's awesome. And I'll make sure that this all shows up in the show notes too, so that as people are looking to get connected with you in whatever way they like to communicate, they're going to have easy access to your ongoing information and wisdom, and just your energy more than anything. I think connecting people to your energy will inspire all kinds of change everywhere, wherever they're listening from. So, I love you to bits, and I can't thank you enough for being part of this episode, Shelly. It means the world to me. Thank you.
Yeah, I love you too, Rebecca. Thank you. You're the one that's actually got me onto the webinars and with the Zoom calls and the workshops that we've done, and you're helping bring me along onto this whole premise of social media, and I'm very grateful for everything you do and your unconditional support.
We were meant to be together. That's a fact.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
Thanks again, my friend. I'll wrap this up with another big thank you, and hope to be in touch with you real soon.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode, friends. Thank you for hanging out with us here at the Planting Wildflowers podcast. We'll look forward to seeing you again real soon. And in the meantime, if you would be so kind as to rate, subscribe, and share this podcast with others, I'd be most grateful. We'll catch you again soon. Until then, take good care.